Hey, this is Justin in post-production. So we recorded this episode a while ago, and that's why the goddamn news is not very current. Now, since then, of course, we've entered what historians call the cool zone, and that means there's probably going to be some more important things for y'all to do with your money than give it to us on Patreon to get bonus episodes. So for the duration of the protests for George Floyd and against police brutality, you could donate to any of the charities listed below in the description, and you can send us the receipt via Twitter DM or email, and we'll send you the link to the bonus episodes instead of you all having to donate to our Patreon. All right, so Black Lives Matter, and on to the episode. Yeah.
But yeah, here I am in the land that God forgot, West Philly.
We're recording from the podcast bunker.
Yeah, broadcasting from Mount Weather as part of continuity of podcast operations. This is, well, there's your problem, the podcast with slides.
No, we got the Greenbrier. We got luxury.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they decommissioned that, right? Like,
they did. They did.
Yeah, it's still there. We could probably buy it.
Yeah.
You have a podcast from beautiful White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia.
The Greenbrier itself is still there, obviously.
Yes. Well, the bunker's also still there.
Yeah.
That's the thing about building a bunker. It does tend to still be there.
Yeah, tearing those things up is, I imagine, quite a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
There's the bunkers by the Rockaways and the ones that are by the shore. I went to them. They're still there.
World War II defenses or like...
No, the ones that they put the Nike missiles in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Right.
Fun.
They turned one of them into a downlink for that new, what do you call it, transoceanic cable.
Huh.
Oh, sick.
So it's just guarded, and there's some security guards that are there. So I was like, what the hell? They're like, what are you doing here? This is a public beach.
I love to think about how there's like 7 beaches across the world.
Like wire
where you could just like roll up on them with an axe and you could just destroy the internet.
Yes. Well, no, it's not like there's the list of 25 locations. If you only need, it's like 3 guys, 6 vans.
Mm-hmm.
You can shut down probably the entire Northeast power grid.
That's our next podcast here.
I was about to say, yeah. Shit, I am recording, right? I think I'm recording.
I am recording.
I've been recording the stuff that will get me barred from our first live show because customs will not let me enter the country.
I think I hit the button.
Fine. You don't want to anyway.
Yes. Is it going? Is it going? It's not going. All right, now it's going. Great.
Okay.
The communications here at the Greenbrier are not good.
I was about to
We're
say,
doing our best.
It's horrible weather. We can't be
Where
helped.
is room service?
It's so congressional to get like a luxury nuclear bunker.
No, the Congressional didn't go to the Greenbrier. It's the Capital Limited.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was, the Baltimore and Ohio own that hotel, if I recall correctly. That's where Deer Park water comes from.
One of the places. Also the place where I bought my van, Bangor, Pennsylvania.
Well, you hardly knew her.
I hardly knew her.
Oh, my God. Anyway, so...
Greenbrier, I hardly knew her.
Oh, coming out looking like the 3-eyed fish from The Simpsons, yeah.
Oh, God. All right.
Speaking of which...
Welcome to Well, There's Your Problem, a podcast about engineering disasters, which has slides. I'm Justin Rosniak. I'm the person who's talking right now. I have an engineering degree, so I get to talk about engineering stuff on a podcast. My pronouns are he and him.
I am Alice Caldwell Kelly. My pronouns are she and her, and I wanna abolish the credentials thing. Who cares? Like we did the American college thing as our last premium episode on Patreon, where we were like, college is dumb. So
that's a good point. We could just not do credentials from here on out.
Yeah, we'll just lie. I could just lie. I could just be like, yeah, I've got 3 doctorates.
Really impressive.
Yeah. Oh, did I say my pronouns? She and her.
God damn it.
Yeah, there you go.
Just to spite Alice, I am Liam Anderson. I hold 2 degrees, one in mathematics and one in economics from Rutgers University. I am an expert in all fields, both natural and supernatural.
Of course.
And you can address me as Attorney Anderson.
Liam Anderson Esquire.
My pronouns are he, him.
Hey everyone, my name is Cherenkov. So I have experience in nuclear engineering and nuclear operations. Pronouns are he, him. Nice to meet everyone.
Yeah, likewise.
Oh, it's nice to have you on the show. Wait, didn't you were on a nuclear submarine, right?
Yes. And carrier.
That's so cool.
I will never get the smell out of some of my clothes, but yes.
I love the US Navy doing something cool by accident, and then, like, in order to surround the cool power source, it's just like 500 guys who like sleep wedged between two ice cream machines.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god. Okay, so what you may notice on the screen in front of you are lots of people in like these like clean suits, right?
Yeah, doing social distancing, they're masked up. This is good coronavirus protocol.
But this is not actually because of coronavirus. There was no pandemic happening here. This is because, and they have heavy construction equipment, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
And this is because they are handling radioactive material.
Ooh.
In the form,
Yes, we're doing another radioactivity one.
in the form of a man's house.
Oh boy.
Wow.
So, or the remnants of the man's house. Today we're going to talk about the Goiânia accident, right? Which a big, uncontrolled, I wouldn't say release of nuclear material, but certainly a dissemination of nuclear material.
Probably one of the worst case scenarios that when you find out about it, you'll be impressed and horrified at humanity.
That's the well, there's your problem promise.
Yeah.
Yes. But first, we have to do the goddamn news.
Ah, shit, I played that twice. Fuck.
Thank you.
Shit.
Thank you,
Okay.
Alice. We're fucked.
Fuck. Oh, shit. God damn it. There. Okay. There.
Okay,
That is the news. Thank you.
All right.
Pay no attention to this. Assume it went smoothly.
Okay, so our first news that happened today is that a bridge in China started oscillating like the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. And it was shut down.
Do not try to jump the queue. We will get to your engineering disaster when we get to
Pay
it.
attention to me. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me as it goes right to the valley.
Yeah, just arriving to the scene of the bridge collapse, like, here's that attention you ordered.
Yeah. The video is more impressive, but this is a slide. It was going up, and it was also going down, and then this part went down,
And all around.
and that part went up. It did not go all around. That's the dangerous part. It was not twisting, right?
Huh.
Lame.
It seems like this is a fixable problem based on the fact it's not twisting.
I'm still on the first slide for you. Is that like just me, or it's probably just me? I wouldn't worry about it.
I am also on the first slide.
You're on the first slide?
Yeah. Are you looking at the second slide?
Oh wait, hold on. Something. Let me go back.
Oh, I missed some cool annotations and everything. I'm so pissed.
Great. Okay.
So people, you'll be able to edit this so people will just see this smoothly. But like, for me personally, I have not been seeing any of the cool maddening you've been doing, and I'm attributing that to my failure to like properly cue the news theme.
This is punishment for all of us. We have sinned against God somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so to get back on track, probably what they need to do probably is put in some like stiffening trusses on this thing, like probably pretty quick, like before something dumb happens. This is a fixable problem.
I like that their measurement of straightness here is just to look at it through a big sniper scope. Like you're gonna Chris Kyle the bridge.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You look at a suspension bridge through a telephoto lens. It does go up and down a lot. Like even one that's working properly.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
I would simply not do that.
Here in Philly, when a Patco train goes over the Ben Franklin Bridge, one side sags about a foot lower than the other side.
Yep.
That's one of those things I don't like to think about, along with like buildings like expanding and contracting a few inches just regularly.
Or skyscrapers being designed to like sway in the wind.
Ooh, no.
It's fine. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Float like a butterfly and sting like when I pee.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you, Liam.
You're welcome.
A valuable third of this podcast.
Yeah.
That's me, baby.
We should be aware that CGTN is funded in whole or in part by the Chinese government.
I mean, if anything, that's an endorsement of the Chinese government because it kind of makes them look like shit and they're still running with it.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Like, instead of being like, nah, bridge is fine.
Yep. Speaking of governments.
Oh, God.
Thank you.
The gang does a military coup.
Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah, I've been having so much fun just consuming all of the content from this.
Yes.
Have you seen the military coup guys, mercenary firms Instagram?
I didn't.
It's bad.
If I didn't think it was real, I thought it was fake because it just seems so hilarious, but it's authentic. Have you seen their Twitter account before it got deleted?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's literally
like,
a bunch of the most bros decided to have a military coup, and they lost to a fisherman,
and they did.
Not even to your
socialist
Marines, a fisherman.
No. A fisherman pulled a pistol on them, and they were like, well, so it's time to give it up. I mean, this is a lot about the toughness of Venezuelan fishermen, right?
Yeah. So, for those of you who are listening in audio, there was an attempted coup in Venezuela brought down by a fisherman, with a bunch of like bro type ex Green Beret guys, and like also just cosplayers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if there's a lesson to be learned from this, it's that like you don't have to be particularly smart at non-special forces stuff to be a Green Beret. You just have to be like, it's like testing well, right? You have to be really good at like doing a million push-ups while a dude like screams at you. You don't have to be necessarily that smart, right?
Oh no, they're not supposed to be smart. That's why they have That's why they have the guys in Washington saying, "Do this, go here, get this, good job, come back home."
Please don't post anything on Snapchat and then just
and make sure to leave your Fitbit at home, please.
Oh fuck, they literally did that. Yeah, and that was beautiful. Yeah, no, I thought this was fake too at first, because I saw the photo that the Venezuelan cops put out of like all of their gear that they seized, and one of them had like a fast helmet with just like a Velcro like US flag patch on it, and I'm like, no, you've staged that because they wouldn't be that dumb. And then I remembered all of the other things that I know about US military intervention, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
But yeah, this definitely looks like a bunch of bros decided, hey, we'll get Trump to help us, and it probably
could have worked.
But they lost.
Yeah, but he absolutely could have like done something like invaded Venezuela off the back of a tweet atting him. And it's sad for them that it didn't work out. It's very funny. Also, shout out to one Venezuelan fisherman for listening to our previous episode where we talked about that Venezuelan patrol boat embarrassing itself and deciding he needed to single-handedly restore the prestige of Venezuelan naval combat.
Because he did it.
He did, yeah.
He did, yeah.
Why even have a navy by that point if you just like...
And I guess the other thing is this was somehow linked to noted miserable failure Juan Guaido picture
scene.
Truly sad.
I swear they make these guys in a lab somewhere under like a Brooks Brothers.
I can't tell any of these people apart.
Whatchamacallit for the Americas.
Oh,
School
School
of
for
the
the
Americas.
Americas.
There we
Yeah.
Americas,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, would you like to know where one Guaido went to school? Would you like to know? Would you like to know?
Where?
Drexel.
GW.
GW.
Oh my god.
Once again, proving my point.
I should be
Sanford's Trash
careful where I try
Factory.
to go to transfer to, because my friend's trying to convince me to go to GW, and I'm like, no.
Go to American, the good school.
Yeah. You will probably end up having to lead fewer failed coups.
Only a couple fewer, though. We must be clear on that.
Yeah, there's a quota. Oh man, do you see one of them peed himself?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Did it? Oh, got it.
Yeah, really. There's the photo of them outside, like that fisherman's place. Where they have them all on the ground, and one of them's peed himself, and like they're on an incline, so the pee just like is going towards his face.
That's rough. That is
It's rough. He's, the guy I was having a day. I assume still having a day.
Yes.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
All
What
right.
could it be?
We have a third piece of news.
God damn it.
This shit again.
A tower in Dubai. Another fucking tower
We
made of tinderbox plastic
told
cladding.
you about this shit.
Caught fire again.
You gotta. Why does nobody listen to our 4-hour podcast where we just call people fucking assholes and idiots and like dog shit brained morons and then implement all of our policy recommendations?
Which are genius, by the way.
Always fun idea.
Yeah,
So-
like don't have the flammable cladding on the outside of your tower block. So
This
I
is-
mean, how bad was this? How many people died?
0.
Oh, that's good. I mean, the firefighters are doing their job.
Yeah.
Well, even the United Arab Emirates is not dumb enough to think shelter in place is a good idea for a high-rise fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out to the Dubai Fire Department for doing a good job and also making the London Fire Brigade just look like assholes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is the Al Nada Tower
Huh.
in a city called Sharjah that's
Yeah.
just north of Dubai.
Yeah. So actually a different emirate, whole different state.
But
Close enough though. So
yeah, well, they got similar okay fire regulations that at least no one died, although the tower did catch fire.
yeah, I see that. Looking not so good. Looking very kind of Eye of Sauron there.
Yeah, well, this is the second big United Arab Emirates tower that's caught fire in recent memory. In 2015, there was a tower that caught fire in a very similar fashion because someone was grilling on a
I
balcony.
just want
Not even construction. He just
Everyone
wanted to
else
grill.
he
Just the
Grover.
guy. Yeah, really? Yeah.
he just
Yeah.
grilled too close to the siding.
I
and it
didn't
melted.
I just want to grill, God damn it!
Oh, great.
What was the name of that tower?
Oh, Grover Tower.
No, it was called the Torch Dubai.
No. Fuck off.
I think it caught fire a second time when it was being restored.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Incredible.
Cool. Yeah, I love to live on like the 86th floor of hope we don't jinx it, Sharjah. We call it hubris at the Avenue.
We just made a giant plaque on top of the tower flipping off God.
That's kind of what the Burj Dubai is, right? Like
Tower
they
of
have
Babel
the.
episode 1.
Did you see the time that they played tennis up there?
God, yes.
Like on the helipad, and I'm just like that whole time I was just having like height anxiety. Like you guys are gonna kill Roger Federer, which I don't like, feel that strongly about, but I feel very strongly about the idea that he's gonna fall off that shit trying to like serve, and it's gonna take him like 5 minutes to hit the ground.
Wasn't he at least tied off? Were they not tied off?
I don't know. I mean, isn't that more dangerous? Because then you gotta like you trip over the cable and you like maybe you have, they have to haul you back in.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Nope.
Does the
Nope, nope, nope,
helipad
nope.
not have a fence?
I mean, I would hope, but like it's
Yeah,
it makes me
probably
worry.
not.
Makes me
Probably not.
uncomfortable.
Having worked on some high rises like sometimes you would think there'd be safety systems and there are not.
Yeah, you build stuff that tall, and eventually you're just like the safety system as a guy and a hard hat just gives you a gun, so you can just shoot yourself on the way down because you have time to do that instead of like waiting for like an hour.
Yeah, so there's a reason I quit that job, and I'm not good with heights anymore. But
That's true.
So that was the news, the goddamn news.
Goddamn news.
Back to our regularly scheduled program. Okay, so let's start this by talking about radioactivity.
Spicy rocks.
Yes.
Spicy rocks, baby.
Spicy
Thank
rocks.
you. Oh, yeah.
Inanimate carbon rod. So a lot of folks don't have a super intuitive idea of how radiation works. I certainly don't. I don't work with radiation too often.
Yeah, you got to go to school for that.
Yeah. Well, think of all radiation is just energy. Radiation exists naturally everywhere. You're looking at it because light is radiation. The only thing that makes radiation bad is too much of it, and too much of it concentrated, and certain frequencies.
Right. So it's vibes, basically.
Yes, literally.
Yeah.
Bad vibes.
So we are now doing like an hour-long vibe check, essentially.
Yes. And there's ways. I didn't even put anything about like alpha, beta, or gamma waves in here because I'm dumb. But the bad ones are gamma rays.
Yeah, I mean they're all bad, but alpha and beta ones mostly they get stopped by stuff.
Yes.
They hit stuff and they don't like penetrate it.
Alphas, you have to breathe them in. Betas are blocked by your skin. Gammas, do you got any lead? And neutrons are like, I'm sorry about your DNA, boy, but could be worse.
So when you're measuring like dosage of radiation, how much you got, you use something called the gray, right?
The little aliens with the big heads.
No, it's a guy's name, I think.
Huh. Okay. What happened to all of the like cool, scary sounding radioactivity measurements, like sieverts or like becquerels?
I believe isn't a sievert like very similar to a gray?
Oh, I know you measure it in like millisieverts because like one sievert is a lot, but I don't know how it compares.
I couldn't figure this out either because they're both a joule per kilogram.
Well, in that case, if they're both the same thing, then it should just be like, which name do you prefer?
Okay. So fundamentally, a gray is how much energy you're getting per kilogram of matter or usually tissue. A sievert is an equivalent dose used to define, say, hey, we want to have an equalized dose, so we want to figure out how much radiation to your whole body did this equivalent source give you.
Ah, I see. Okay. So you can be like, I got this much grays to like one arm, but like a sievert is like I don't know, like an occupational thing for like how many hours you can be in a room. Okay.
Exactly. Like sieverts are pretty much generally used to say, hey, how close are you to getting cancer, or do we have to send in a robot, or how long can we send the robots in before they start cooking?
Oh man, I still feel bad about the little like West German bomb robot from Chernobyl. It's cute.
And then the becquerel is like a measurement of a material decaying. Yeah.
Yep. Activity.
So more means it's doing more radioactivity.
Yeah, this is. I feel like this is the biggest gulf between our understanding and like what we need to be understanding.
So
like,
activity is more or less a rate of how much of actually disintegration a material is going through. So, for example, you could have something that if something has a very high activity, it's very much not good for a person. Something like low activity, like say carbon-14 has very low activity. Obviously, it's decaying in, us as we speak every day.
Yeah. So that decay is what is like the radioactivity, right? Is
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So I'm with you so far. Bear in mind, the last time that we talked about radioactivity at all, it was within the context of 3 Mile Island, and the level of abstraction that we went to on that one was you put the spicy rocks over the water, and it makes the water hot, and you use the steam to turn the thing. So going from that to like individual dosage measurements,
Yeah.
Huge step up. We are professionals.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And then all right, so in Chernobyl, the series that everyone watched because it was on Amazon, they used Roentgens, right?
Yeah, 3.6, not great, not terrible.
3.6 of them, right? And that's an old unit that's not used anymore because it like varies based on humidity and the medium and stuff because we got better ways to measure it. I don't remember what the conversion factor is.
You just you're looking at this sort of 1985 vintage Soviet Geiger counter that measures stuff in like inches of mercury.
So pretty much for Roentgens, you'd probably have to do some weird conversions to convert them to something like coulombs per kilogram because you really don't use Roentgens anymore.
Okay, so we fuck Roentgens. All my homies hate Roentgens. We don't want to do math.
Yes.
Correct.
What we want to do is grays, which are nice and simple and easy.
That sound kind of intimidating, which I think helps.
Yes, right?
Yeah, it does sound intimidating. You get fucked up by radioactivity. And then, like, radioactive material has a half-life, right? And that
Half-Life 3 confirmed, yes.
Yes. That's the time it takes for half the radioactive material to decay, right?
Yes.
So if something has a half-life of 30 years, that means in 30 years it will be half as radioactive. And then again, it'll be half as radioactive 30 years later, so on and so forth until the end of the world. Right.
Yeah, it's like Zeno's paradox. It's a half-life of 30 years doesn't mean in 60 years you come back and it's gone.
Yes.
It's like one. You got it.
And like the shorter the half-life is, the more dangerous it is because it's emitting more radioactivity because it's decaying faster.
Yes. You got
that's
right.
The brightest candle burns the quickest.
Yeah. So my 5 minute half-life lump of like unobtainium is giving me every single cancer you can possibly get in like a second, whereas like a 5 trillion year half-life block of wood or something
Like
is
lead. That's
fine.
the longest lived lead. There we go.
Yeah. Isn't the proton theorized to have a half-life?
Yes, that's one of those big physics debates. Does the proton decay? Because it gives a limit to how long the universe can exist before everything turns into either iron or everything fades into electrons and photons. Photons, because electrons do decay.
Given the choice, I think I'd rather be photons than iron. But yeah,
you could become like a iron golem from Minecraft.
That's true, but then what about if you... Well, I guess also the problem is that you would rust, but then the oxygen that causes the rust would also turn into iron.
That's better than stainless steel, is what that is.
Yeah, on a very long time scale, stainless steel is obsolete. We just wait for stuff to become iron.
Yeah. So, okay. In addition to this, there's some effects of radioactivity you can see with your own 2 eyes.
Probably a bad sign when you
Don't look at that. Don't look at that.
Yeah,
cover your eyes
as long as there's water, as long as it's water. Ooh, neat color. No water.
Yeah.
Make repent. I guess that's an option.
I keep thinking about one of the things that I saw. It was engraved on like I think it was like a scientific calibration thing, but it was like literally like a bar of radioactive metal, and the only warning that it had engraved on it was "drop and run." And it's like, yeah, sure, feel great about this.
Yeah. But a rule of thumb for both radiation and also welding: don't look at the pretty blue light.
No.
Yeah. Do not go swimming in this pool.
Yeah. Yes.
You can actually go swimming in those pools as long as you do
Really?
not go below. Yeah, that's how they do the inspection. You can long as you don't, as long as you do not approach the actual lowest levels where the actual rods are where the actual fuel is being pulled. It's actually you can actually go swimming. However, once you get closer, you reach a point of, hey, that tingles too. We have to give him a lead line coffin, boys.
Yeah. Once an episode, we come up with a guy who has the shittiest job in this field. Like we theorize a different guy. Like there's a guy who has to come and clean the rat viscera out of an atmospheric railway. In this case, it's this guy. It's the guy who has to just suit up, dive into the thing, and absolutely do not go below this level.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We will start microwave popcorn happens to your genome.
I've met the guy. He gets paid very well, but the thing is, he can only do it twice a year.
Yeah, I mean that is what universal basic income looks like. It's just we have to make every workplace incredibly dangerous so that there's a cumulative thing, and that's how we'll do fully automated communism. I do data entry, but for health reasons, I can only be in the office once a year, and then when I do it 5 times, I have to retire.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he says it's a great job. Mandatory retirement at 55.
Yeah,
pays a lot, but you can only do it. But you work twice a year, and then most of the other years, they make them go to the doctor once a month to make sure nothing's happening.
Sure, yeah, just making sure you don't have to order any wetsuits with a third arm. It's reminding me of the old Chernobyl joke. That's the grandfather and the grandson are looking at the memorial to the liquidators, and the grandkid's like, "What's Chernobyl?" And the grandfather's like, "Well, it's the time that some nuclear power plant it had an accident, but it's fine. It was totally safe." And they both walk off together, wagging their tails.
So the blue light here is cherenkov radiation, right? Which is when the electrons which are coming off of the decaying radioactive thing are going faster than the speed of light in the local medium, right? That doesn't mean they're going faster than the speed of light. That means they're going faster than the speed of light, in this case in water, right? Because there's a state speed limit on light, but then there's local speed limits too.
Yep, just doing interstate speed traps and just getting. This is basically fucking Alex Roy is charged electron, and he's just blasting straight through a bunch of state troopers.
You get picked up by the light cops. But yeah, if you see the pretty blue light, you should leave. And then there's different ways you can get contaminated by radiation. This is my understanding. I'm not sure if this is strictly correct, but as far as I understand, if you're exposed to radiation, that can murder you and give you nasty cancer, but you yourself will not be radioactive.
Yes, i.e., for example, if let's say you get hit by just a beam of gammas or a beam of neutrons, your DNA, because if it's a neutron, it'll bounce, hit your DNA and cause all sorts of interesting mutations. And if it's a gamma, it actually could cause your DNA. It actually could cause the water in your cells to actually irradiate.
I hate when Pete Buttigieg comes to my house and shoots me with the CIA radiation gun and shoots me in the fucking DNA. I hate when I get shot in the genome.
But then there's the kind of being irradiated where I took a uranium rod and I cut it up like a banana and I put it in my I put it in my cereal and ate it.
That's also quite radioactive, though.
Yes, that would be bad. That would be it's permanently inside of you, and it's constantly giving off radiation. So you're slowly dying from the inside out.
It's fine. Just wait a few million years, it'll be lead.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So then you become a radiation source.
Excuse me. Yeah.
which is the kind of contamination we're going to talk about today.
Oh, God. The nice, like, friendly one.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm drinking my soda. I'm drinking my post-iftar soda, and I'm just looking at this can like, man, it's a good thing I don't have an anxiety disorder.
The can is the can heavier than usual?
No, I don't feel anything rattling around in it, but you know how it is with brains, right? You talk about this stuff for like 5 minutes, and then you think, is my arm tingling, or am I just crazy?
Do I have radiation poisoning? This doesn't feel good.
I don't think you can make a can with uranium.
There was a bunch of uranium glass that was a hip trend of the 1930s.
Yeah, and then people tend to get
It was so cool back then. I love to like drink my opium out of a big glass.
My nice radium glass,
Oh my God.
Radium jewelry and all that shit. Hell
yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the worst. Obviously, the potential of ingesting radioactive material is the worst with like something like, radium paint or like a powder of some kind or aerosols. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons
it's the same with breathing it in, right? You're not talking mostly about cutting up a furod like a banana. You're talking about like dusts and powders and stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's one of the reasons why explosions at nuclear facilities are bad.
Bunch of like powdered concrete dust that's just like highly irradiated.
One of the many reasons why explosions at nuclear facilities are bad. In general, you don't want an explosion to happen at all.
No.
Unless you're doing like blasting or controlled demolition or something. But anyway, now let's talk about some of the nasty kinds of radiation found in your neighborhood.
Yay.
So
she looks jazzed about this.
Oh yeah. This is like from the 50s, I think. It's an early radiation therapy machine, right? So radiation therapy is something we came up with in the 50s, I think, right? And a little earlier, you can zap people with radiation to get rid of the parts that they don't need to have, that have like cancer and shit, right?
Yeah, we were just fucking around with medicine a lot of the time in the early 20th century. Like, that's how we discovered X-rays, right? Was Conrad Röntgen. Also, who may be familiar to you from the measurements discussion earlier, is being like, I could just fucking zap people with this.
It was literally a fun party trick of the 19th century, of the 20th century. Hey, look at this ghostly shadow.
Oh shit, man, that's cool. I hope I don't get like 50 kinds of incurable diseases from this.
It'll be fine.
Look, everything until about like this is one thing I've learned from like collecting gas masks, which is a weird hobby, is that everything before about 2005 just is giving you every possible disease at once. Everything they made in the Soviet Union was made of asbestos. Everything. And the stuff that wasn't made out of asbestos was made out of like benzene and lead.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. That's fine.
Oh, everything's still technically made of benzene because it's all made of crude oil. It's just been processed.
Give it long enough and it's all iron.
So up here is this is probably about, a very small amount of radiation source and then like 600 pounds of shielding.
You gotta like madden in some like spooky lines.
Oh yeah.
It'll be like
yeah. And this guy spins around, right, with a huge amount of mass because that way you only get the part you're targeting as opposed to just shooting a huge beam straight through you like a cylinder of just tissue decay, right? You want to avoid that.
Yeah.
In this case, you are the hot pocket, and
yes.
Well, like the medical reason for this, right? Like we talked about how radiation damages cells. Sometimes you want to damage some cells. Sometimes cells go rogue and just decide, oh, hey, I'm going to start making copies of myself instead of what I'm like supposed to be. And I'm going to kill the boss. And that's cancer. And you want to kill the cancer cells. And a very good way of killing cells is radiation.
Yes.
So long as you can target this, you can Annie Oakley that shit. You can do a trick shot off of a quarter and like shoot a beam into somebody's liver or something, and ideally kill all of the cancer cells and not very many of the cells that aren't the ones that are still doing what they're supposed to be.
What if we made the guy stand inside a particle accelerator and then he didn't have cancer anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
That's the new version of this. That's
you have
proton
every
therapy.
cancer except the one you went in for.
Yeah. So, this requires a radiation source, which is, the radiation's coming out of this here. And usually what they use is one of the scary types of material, right? So you have the stuff with like the short half-life, which is very radioactive for a very short period of time. Then you have stuff with a long half-life, which is not very radioactive for a very long period of time. And then there's the stuff in the middle. And that's stuff which is not that radioactive on like cosmic scale, I guess. But for in our human scale, for will it kill you? The answer is yes, it will kill you. It will kill you very badly, and it will do so for several hundred years. And that's stuff like cesium, that's stuff like cobalt-60, right?
Yeah, those are pretty much some of the worst stuffs we've probably as humans have made. Not counting chemicals, of course, but you've done plenty of episodes on those.
It's so cool that like all of this incredibly deadly stuff is like also probably our longest lived legacy.
Sometimes maybe it's plastic. Who knows?
Well, I mean, maybe future archaeologists will be pulling like bits of plastic fishing gear out of like cliff walls, but I think it's more likely that like humanity's like cosmic record on the Earth is going to be somebody looking at a graph with like their 18th eye and being like, there's a weird cobalt spike here. I don't know what that's about. I don't know.
That's pretty much one of the things once NASA starts making larger space telescopes, a sign of some sort of intelligent civilization. Large spikes of, hey, why is there a bunch of radioactivity in their atmosphere that does not exist naturally? We should probably send a probe there.
Now we get into, and now we get into the fun Drake equation stuff of like, maybe there's this big filter, and the reason why we haven't met aliens, the US Navy over the Pacific notwithstanding, is just, you get nukes, you kind of destroy your own species. It happens.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty unintelligent decision for civilization to make like a cobalt-60 bomb.
Yes.
You should not do that.
Half-Life's only, 5-something years? That's fine, man.
Yeah, it's good after 130 years, yeah.
Okay, that's not that long. That's not that long. It's not that deep. Don't worry about it. Just don't walk there.
Someone got really mad at us in the comments after we did the goddamn news about the Chernobyl fires, being like, that smoke's not that radioactive.
Yes.
And it's like,
I wouldn't want to breathe it without my own gas, without my CBR gas mask, just to be safe.
Yeah, well, you don't want to fuck around with radiation, is what I'm learning.
Yeah, don't tempt fate. Nuclear power is good. Don't tempt fate.
Yeah,
it's that old AEC poster that I always think about, and when we talk about nuclear safety, which is that it was something like radiation is not inherently dangerous, but it demands your respect.
Yes.
Right? You have to be.
I forgot you have to be like,
oh yeah, this is a thing that can kill me horribly the whole time.
So the way this guy works, I'm going to show a GIF that I stole off of Wikipedia. So now everyone can be mad at me for using Wikipedia.
Wait, you have a way to show GIFs now?
Come on, work. Fuck. Shit. This has always worked before.
Killing it.
Oh my fucking... Well. Oh God. All right, so never mind.
You're just going to have to madden it.
Yeah, I have to madden it. All right, so the idea is you have a radiation source in here, right?
Yep.
And you have shielding back here, right? You have shielding all around. There's a window in the casing here, right? When you need the radiation source to go, you get an electric motor, swings this guy around, and then the radiation goes out.
It's like chambering a revolver, right? You twist the thing around, and the thing lines up, and the thing goes out.
Yes. And also, like, it's radiation source, it's just inherently radioactive. You're not, like, feeding this thing any electricity or anything like that. It just is radioactive.
It's usually it's been created somewhere, right? Like a nuclear power plant will have made this for you.
I think the source in question we're going to talk about today was made at Oak Ridge National Laboratories. Probably under the control of Union Carbide at that point.
Recurring villain.
Yeah, recurring villain. Although at the time of recording, I still haven't even started doing the Bhopal episode.
Send him your audio.
It is.
I have the audio now. I can
Never
work on
mind.
it.
Thank you for sending him the audio.
Yeah. The problem is that the audio is, like all of our audio, 3 hours long because we don't know how to edit.
I was about to say, I should get this going. All right. So now that we've done all this background, let's talk about Brazil. Brazil. Yes. So in Brazil is a city called Goiânia, right? It's right here. It's right there.
Is the engineering disaster the part where they lose to the Germans 7-1 in the 2014 final?
Yeah. No, this is the capital of the state of Goiás, which I think is something that Liam will call you in the comments.
So it's right near Brasilia, which is the capital that was
Roz's
invented.
Roz's favorite city. Tell them how much you like it.
Invented by Oscar Storanov. Okay, hold on. This is Justin in post-production again. I meant Oscar Niemeyer, not Oscar Storanov. Okay, back to the episode. And then right in the middle is a city called Anápolis, which I assume is where the Naval Academy of Brazil is.
Just like a couple of hundred miles inland.
Biggest river, like right there, duh.
That's true. That's true.
All right. So most of the action today took place in a neighborhood called Setor Aeropuerto, right?
Flamboyant shopping center?
No, it's where the old airport was because the new airport's over here.
I'm still not over the flamboyant shopping center. I like that a lot.
Sure enough, I do like that. Yeah. Well,
you wouldn't want a dull shopping center.
They make you wear the Nathan Robinson peacock costume to get in.
They do, just like they do the Berghain like door check at the door of this like provincial Brazilian shopping center.
So, now right here is the former location of the Instituto Goiano de Radioterapia, right? That's the Radioterapy Institute's former location. Now the convention center's there.
I feel great about that.
Oh yeah,
They've probably cleaned it up.
We would hope.
We would hope so. Yeah. Well, someone cleaned it up for them actually, which is what we're going to learn about. So they moved in 1985, and when they moved, they left one of their old radiotherapy machines in their old location because it was a old crappy one. It used cesium-137 as opposed to cobalt-60. Wasn't good, right? And they got held up in litigation, which prevented them from moving the machine to dispose of it properly, right? Or so cool. They say.
So they were in court and they were being like, "Hey, we should probably do something about this machine with the spicy rock in it."
Yes.
And the courts are just like, "Yeah, we'll get to that."
Worse than spicy rock, it was spicy powder.
Sorry, I was just kind of aroused by that idea.
So
just
very into the concept of a spicy powder. You're just hungry.
Really liked cocaine when I was younger, so I'm all aboard for the spicy powder.
Would you call cocaine spicy? I wouldn't think of it as being spicy. I would think
it's more like you would say it's more spicy. Like numbing. If anything.
I didn't say it was spicy.
Right?
I just like cocaine.
See,
I don't get why everyone likes it. It just makes me numb.
It's the best 20 minutes of your life. Yeah. That's the shit I like.
They gave it to me when they broke my nose, and I'm like, "This is why does everyone take it? This is awful. I don't feel my face."
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like cocaine is just like, if I wanted a way to be a worse version of myself, just like make all of the worst parts of my personality, like that much more salient, I would just like record a podcast.
The podcaster's high. Comes in
What
around
do you
hour
think a
3.
podcaster's high is when someone says, I made a good point, and I did so very, what's it called when you phrase something really well? Articulately. Yes. That's me, baby.
Yeah.
Here's a question.
The podcast is high as when somebody like fucks up and you rename the group chat. So like you say myself instead of myself.
Oh,
myself.
God. Yeah. New episode title. So anyway, so they eventually got a guard posted in the building because they knew there was radioactive shit in there, but he wasn't always on duty, right? So now, what do you do with an abandoned building as an entrepreneur?
Condos, baby.
As an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. More
No,
condos.
you're not that kind of entrepreneur.
You're not the kind of entrepreneur who's just gonna like build a bunch of condos and call them like radiotherapy at the villages.
No, you're the real kind of entrepreneur.
Drugs.
I see. You steal the bricks.
Damn it.
Yes. Scrap it. Scrap the shit out of it. So that's
all right. Shit. Yeah.
That's what some folks tried to do. They decided we're going to go into this abandoned building when the guard's not there. We're going to scrap everything we can, rip the copper pipe out, find any of the equipment, try and get some scrap money for that, so on and so forth in that fashion, right? It's the American way, the South American way, also the North American way.
Yeah, this is truly the bond of brotherhood between the entire Western Hemisphere, is stripping the copper wiring out of an abandoned building.
So there's two guys, right? Roberto.
Yeah, Mike and Mike.
Yeah. Roberto dos Santos Alves and Wagner Mota Pereira, right?
The German names in Brazil always get me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just have a guy named Wagner. And it's like, I'm sure that's for normal reasons.
I'm not going to speculate about exactly how many genocides his ancestors committed. I'm sure it was several, but this is true of all of us. So,
yeah, that's true. You go to Brazil and you'll be like, you're looking at maps and there'll be like a small town and you'll be like, oh, what's this town called? And it's like Saint this. What's this town called? Saint this. What's this town called? Herzfeldenerbrungsstiebensitz. And you're like, oh, okay.
Wasn't there a town in Spain that was called like Kill All the Jews until like 2006?
Oh, there's a Matajudios,
you thought
Jew killer, and there's a bunch of Matamoros. Yeah, there's a bunch of Matamoros, both in Spain and Mexico and across South America, which is just more killer. So yeah, no, love having towns named after genocides.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
I mean, the most fucked vibes in the world is like a South American Oktoberfest, which do exist. You can go, and go and eat sausage.
Yeah, that's the Brazilian German community meeting in Jersey.
Oh God!
And it's like you go there, and I'm like looking at them, and it's like, Brazilian? And they look like, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I cannot look at these
fucked vibes. I mean,
Yes.
there's I forget which country it is, but there's Confederados in, I think it might be like, no, I don't even want to guess, but like one of the South American countries, there's a community where their town was founded by Confederate veterans who
Brazil,
just
Alice. Yeah, Americana Brazil.
Fuck off,
Brazil,
no.
baby. Yep.
Oh,
Wow.
And they dress once a year. They dress up in the like gray uniforms, and they have a hootenanny or whatever. And it's
Jimmy
fuck,
Carter
fuck
went there
vibes.
in
Fuck
1972. There's a photo of him posing with like
Oh, cool.
the Confederado monument to the Confederates. All right, let's work. Yeah, all right.
Jesus
we are taking
Christ.
I'm literally looking at it,
shit,
and
man.
it looks like
you fucking lost. You fucking lost.
it definitely looks like something from a weird alternate universe.
Yeah, I mean, I will point out that Brazil outlawed slavery in 1899, the last country in the Western Hemisphere to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just in many ways the kind of the lifeboat of reaction. If you have fucked up at like doing fascism somewhere else, you can come to Brazil or Argentina. So yeah, no, it's cool. We're now cancelled in Brazil. But that's fine.
7-1.
Bolsonaro was probably the best they could do
to the Germans. 7-1.
Look, no, there is a class character to this, right? And that is that Brazilian politics works in cycles, right? You have one guy who is quite popular and tries to do like mild social democracy, and then for the next 70 years, the entire establishment gets so scared that they lurch headlong into fascism. And that's only ever happened in Brazil. That's not a pattern that I recognize in any other countries, certainly not Britain or America. Yeah. And so at the time that we said this, we are literally like, Brazil is coming off of a couple of military juntas, which they probably just pronounce it juntas because it's Brazilian Portuguese.
Yeah, I still say junta. I'm just like, can't make me learn.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, so it's in the midst of like one of these long climb downs from like a brief moment of social democracy, which may go some way towards explaining why a guy has to like go and strip all of the copper wiring out of a like a clinic.
Yes, which is what we're talking about.
Back on track.
Right.
Back on track.
So these two guys, Roberto and Wagner, right?
Yeah,
they found the big heavy radiotherapy machine, right?
Oh, no.
And they decided, we could probably get some money for this thing, right? Because it's big and heavy and made of metal. Those are the three things you want if you're a scrapper, right? Mm-hmm. This was big enough and heavy enough. They probably couldn't tie it on the back like this oven here or a washing machine or whatever that is.
Real talk, though. Would you not be aware that it's got radiation, or do you just not
Probably
care?
Not.
Probably
that's what
no.
I was thinking.
Definitely not.
Okay.
You probably don't know.
Okay.
No. I'm sorry.
Look, I'm sure these guys were desperate because you got to be to like go
I understand that.
Pull the copper wiring off of somewhere, but I think also they genuinely didn't like know.
I would imagine that most people don't know.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, if you put a gun to someone's head and it was like, is this radioactive? They would say probably not.
I don't know. I'm gonna lick it a bunch and see if I tingle.
That's half the reason why, in theory, you're supposed to put huge symbols and warnings saying "dangerous, do not touch, stay away."
Yep.
No good deed is commemorated here, just on the side of this thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This place is a warning and a series of warnings. What is here is dangerous and repulsive to us, but that's just like every video description of every video we upload.
It's true. So
Not me. Give us money.
No deed of honor is commemorated here.
That's
Nothing
true.
valued is here.
they partially disassemble this thing, right?
Oh boy.
They find
and you just know it's going to be in some like barn find kind of way where they're like prying bits off of it with shit.
Oh yeah, and they
no
find
low ballers. I know what I have. Yeah.
inside the big lead and metal casing. This is shielding. They find the stainless steel casing around the rotating assembly for the cesium source, right?
No. This is right, but it is counterintuitive, right? Because you get into this thing and you find this orb, and it's like, that must be valuable. You've just gone through like a foot of lead, which is incredibly valuable.
Yes.
But that's big and it's heavy and it's on the outside. So why would that be the valuable thing when it's trying to stop you from getting in to the really valuable thing? And that's not really how. No.
Well, they came back for the rest of the lead later, actually.
Okay.
But so they took the inner assembly home in a wheelbarrow. They didn't have.
Yeah.
They weren't in the pickup truck league. They were in wheelbarrow league, and this is when stuff started to happen. So this
when stuff starts to happen. I mean, technically, stuff starts to happen as soon as they do that. But then this is the other counterintuitive thing about radiation, right? You have this latency thing where stuff starts to happen. You don't know shit, and then like 8 hours later, it is very obvious that stuff has started to happen.
So this was September 13th, 1987, right? So, okay, a couple locations here. I pointed them out. This is Roberto Dos Santos lived here, right?
Yeah.
Right around here. and they were scrapping the building over here, right? So they take it. He takes it to his house, right?
Yeah. Like 3 or 4 blocks in the wheelbarrow.
So both of them try and start to disassemble the casing, right? As they're doing it, they both start vomiting.
Mm-hmm.
And like, geez, we got food poisoning. This is not good. When we finish this, we should probably go to the doctor. So they both continue to try and disassemble it. And Wagner Pereira starts to have worse symptoms in the morning. He decides he's going to go to the doctor because he's vomiting. He's got diarrhea. It's coming out both ends. He's got
it's bad.
He's dizzy. His left hand is swelling, right? So he goes to the doctor and he's diagnosed with, it's probably an allergic reaction to something you ate. Go home and rest, right?
Because at the time, it's radiation probably would be no reasonable person would think, oh, it's not radiation. These just seem like, he probably had an allergic reaction to some berries or something.
The first place you're going.
Yeah. You're not thinking like, number one, this guy's got radiation sickness. Now, in the meantime, Roberto had succeeded in disassembling the source to the point where he could see the cesium powder in there, right?
Oh, no.
And in the dark, it glowed blue.
Which is already a big red flag right there. That's
big blue flag.
Good. Not good. So he didn't know shit about radioactive materials, right? As is obvious. He thought it was some kind of gunpowder. Tried to light some of it.
He tried to. Hold up. He thought this was gunpowder, and so his immediate first reaction was, fuck it, I'm gonna set some of this on fire and see if it explodes.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
This is a good kind of guy. We appreciate this kind of guy.
And this is chaos.
Right. This is a huge loss to these guys. Their loss set back the dudes rock movement by like 10 years because
he survived. Yeah. He survived this whole thing.
God.
Yeah. He lost an arm. He survived.
Dudes rock. Dudes rock.
So he decided, okay, I don't know what the hell this thing is. So Roberto dos Santos Alves decides, I'm getting rid of this. I'm going to sell it. He sells it to Ver Ferreira, right? Who was the nearby purveyor of another scrapyard nearby.
One half
or a
portion.
Scrapyard. Yeah. So they brought it in the wheelbarrow over there, right, to Ferreira's scrapyard, and Ferreira notices
just rattling around in this wheelbarrow, just full of like cesium powder.
Yeah, exactly. Just spewing cesium powder all over the street, all over everywhere, got dispersed into the atmosphere.
Don't like that. Do not like that.
Ferreira, he notices a pretty blue glow inside the casing. So he brings the thing in his house where he and his wife try and get the powder out to see what it is. Right?
Uh-huh.
And over the next 3 days, he brings his friends and family into the house to look at the powder.
Oh my God,
because they just think it's like, they're just like, look at this mysterious supernatural. It's like, if you're literary people, it's like some angel story.
If only there was a what is this thing subreddit.
Oh, yeah. Some of them even take it home with them. There are some instances, once they got enough out, there are instances of people trying to use the powder like it was body glitter or something. Like, oh, look, it's pretty blue on my skin,
Sure, just do the entire like North American like 1920s in an afternoon and just be like condense that timeline. Be like, I'm gonna rub it on my gums.
Please do not do this.
Do not try this at home. Do not break into a radiotherapy machine.
So on September 24th, Devar's brother, Ivo, lives up here, right? Decides to bring some of the powder home to show his wife and his 6-year-old daughter, right? And his 6-year-old daughter does the thing that 6-year-olds do.
Eats it.
Eats it, yeah.
Yeah,
No.
Yes, and that's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And in the meantime, of course, everyone's getting sick all around this thing, right? Everyone's getting sick. They all think it's food poisoning.
Just because you're just thrown up. You feel like shit.
Yep. So September 23rd, Ferraria's wife goes to the hospital, once again diagnosed with it's probably an allergic reaction to something you ate. Go home and get some rest. Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah, have you eaten anything weird? And she's just like, well, there's a cool powder I found.
Well, I ate a whole sandwich made entirely of glowing blue powder, but other than that,
Yeah, and at that point, that's like, that's weird.
PB and J and CS 137.
I did cut up a uranium rod and put it in my cereal.
Very spicy banana.
Yes, the spiciest banana. So in the meantime, there's some of Ferraria's employees were trying to get the assembly disassembled, right? So they could scrap it properly, separate out all the metals, so on and so forth, right? So they're hitting it with hammers, they're attacking it with angle grinders, all kinds of crap, and the cesium 137 dust is just going everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So this was Edmilson Alves de Souza, 18 years old, and Israel Baptista dos Santos, 22 years old. They do the bulk of this work. They make some good progress over a few days, but the thing is difficult to get open, right?
And they're getting sick, which you don't want to happen. Just one of those weird coincidences.
So in the meantime, Wagner Pereira, who mentioned before, one of the scrappers, he was admitted to inpatient care at a local hospital when they decided maybe it wasn't something he just ate. And they transferred him to the Tropical Diseases Hospital, right? Which I guess is for when they assume you have
malaria, parasites, parasites, all sorts of the nasty stuff that because Brazil
parasite that has malaria.
Yes. Maybe they're worried about you giving malaria to the parasite.
Yeah.
So they sent him over there. And then, finally Ferraria goes out and he says, he gives up. He sells the remainder of the assembly because they can't do too much with it to a third junkyard, right? Junkyard 3. Ferraria's junkyard is Junkyard 1 in the report. And then Evo also had a junkyard. That was Junkyard 2. This is so everyone's
primarily junk-based economy, which is always a healthy sign.
I respect it.
Yeah,
everyone's just it's the Patreon of the global South. It's just cycling junk between people. So, all right, September 28th, Ferraria's wife, who's been sick this whole time, like the worst sick out of any of them, finally figures out, I think this damn glowing blue powder might be the problem, right?
Ding, 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 ding. What does she win?
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right?
She gets her husband to go to Junkyard 3, get the thing back, right? And then she and one of Ferraria's employees put the thing in a plastic bag, right? And they get on a public bus with this thing.
Nice.
I mean, the plastic bag was smart.
Yes, that was smart.
Like, genuinely, that was smart.
They get on a public bus and they go over to the Vigilancia Sanitaria, right? Which is sort of the public health office, right?
Yeah.
Or the Brazilian Health Regulatory Agency, right? So they go down there with this highly radioactive doohickey by bus, sets it down on the desk of Dr. PM. I only have initials from this point on. And she says, "This thing is killing my family. What is it?"
I mean, you gotta give her points for initiative and
yes.
Deductive reasoning.
Yes.
Because I don't know that I would have put that shit together if I had no clue what radiation was.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. PM didn't know what the thing was. He was worried enough about it that after it sat on his desk for a bit, he was like, I'm moving this out to the courtyard of the building. I'm putting in a chair in a corner. It's in timeout now. So he suspected it might be part of some radiotherapy device, though. So, and by the way, both Ferraria's wife and the employee who helped her get it there sustained pretty serious radiation burns from this trip, which are evident when they got there, I guess. So they were both sent over to the Tropical Diseases Hospital.
I love to work in the public health office and have a lady come in, dump a radiation source on my desk, and half her hand comes with it, and be like, "Yo, what's up with this?" I feel very good about my job at that point.
You're going to the Tropical Diseases Hospital.
Yeah.
So Dr. PM, after he puts the thing in timeout, he finds he knew a friend who was a medical a doctor of medical physics, I guess, right? A medical physicist. And he calls him up and says, "Hey, could you come take a look at this thing?" He's like, and WF were the initials of this guy. He says, "All right, yeah, sure, I'll come by tomorrow," because he was in town for a conference, right? And WF goes to the office of Nucleabras, right, which is the Brazilian sort of nuclear fuel cycle agency doohickey. They regulate nuclear fuel. Their office in this town was mostly oriented around prospecting for uranium ore. So they had some dose rate meters that they just had. So WF is like, "Hey, can I borrow that?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." So he gets the dose rate meter, and it's calibrated for, again, prospecting for uranium. So
3.6 Rentgen.
Yeah,
it doesn't go that high. It goes nowhere near that high.
Yeah, it starts pegging high.
Yeah, it measured
Probably not
from
ideal.
between 0.02 to 30 micrograys per hour. Yeah. So
a light spice, a light seasoning.
Yeah, I was about to say this is more of
it's basically human. Yeah,
it's a bell pepper. So as he's walking over to the public health office where the source is, he decides he switches on the dose rate meter.
Movie.
Oh boy.
He switches on the dose rate meter like a couple blocks away, and it's immediately pegged to the highest it goes.
Oh, no.
He's like, what?
Yeah.
And he looks at it, he's like, "This thing's busted."
Yeah, sure.
So he goes back to the office and he says, "This thing's broken. Can you give me another one?" And they do. And this time he switches it on earlier. And he's like, "Wow, this is still very high." And you realize, oh, this is a problem.
Yes.
All right. So when he came back, WF came back to the public health office, right? He got there just in time because Dr. PM had called the fire brigade, right? And they had shown up and they realized this thing was bad news. And they were about to confiscate it and dump it in the river.
Oh, no.
No.
Once again, getting very close to Chernobyl, where you just have a guy named Misha and his friend just be like, this thing feels kind of hot to me.
The scary thing is, if it was at least the ocean, it probably wouldn't have been as bad because the ocean would have diluted it by sheer quantity of the ocean. A river? I hope it doesn't go into water supply because the entire drinking supply you'd have to put some filters, you'd have to put some heavy filters on that to actually remove all the substances. Otherwise, everyone's going to get cancer.
Yeah. And as we know, heavy metals famously interact very, very well with water systems.
Yes.
Yes. Well,
I mean, that's kind of you got to rebuild the town 5 miles down the road kind of a problem, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, this is fucked.
Move it.
All right, so at this point, it's like, all right, we're going to leave it here. We're not going to throw it in the river. It's a good idea. And then they get Dr. PM goes back to Ferraria's scrapyard, gets the full story. They realize they got the meter with them. It's Dr. PM and Dr. WF, right? And it's off scale everywhere. It's just, everywhere they go, it's all radiation.
The fucked thing is that at some point doing that, they have to have met the daughter. Just chilling.
The daughter is up here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they are. So they convince with some difficulty Ferraria and his employees to get off the property. Because people don't take radiation seriously, I guess. Unless they're opposing a nuclear power plant, then they take it very seriously. But when there's actually radiation on them and they're ingesting it, whatever. So then they go to the Secretary of Health's offices and say, hey, we got a major radiation spill, and manage to convince them with some difficulty, maybe some resources should be devoted to this.
You just want it to be the case that you can just call everybody and you have, I don't know, the Brazilian feds down there in 15 minutes. And instead of having to sit in a waiting room for an hour and a half and then be like, there's a guy who just has a bunch of extremely spicy dust.
There's a man glowing blue in the driveway.
There has been a Blue Man Group style incident in the vicinity.
So at this point, CNEN, which was the Brazilian nuclear agency, they were put in charge, and now you have to do containment and cleanup, right? Sort of trace where everyone went, who they interacted with.
Reconstruct this whole story backwards.
Yes. Which
it's going to be fucking difficult given that everybody is extremely ill at this point.
Everyone's extremely ill. They're all also scrapyard people, so they're belligerent.
just generally.
Yeah. So imagine I'm just imagining in the situation for Philadelphia folks, it's just an entire group of Lou Blums.
What do you mean I got radiation poisoning? I'm supposed to tow cars now. Buddy.
Just trying to fist fight a guy in a big hazmat
suit. Okay, so what happened here, right? The biggest problem with this kind of incident is there was cesium-137 spreading everywhere, and cesium-137 is very radioactive for a very long time, even when widely dispersed in very small quantities, right? Every time they transported it, they spread it further. The
plastic bag was a good idea.
Yes.
Definitely God.
That was the first good idea anyone had in this situation. So yeah, as I mentioned, officials had to basically reconstruct the entire life of this assembly from when they illegally removed it from the building, which I'm sure, made getting the story out harder. And then isolate everyone who was in contact with it, then try and decontaminate them and determine their exposure, so on and so forth.
A belligerent scrapyard guy, and he's still like, well, I'm not going to tell you anything because I'm going to go to jail if I do. And you're just like, yeah, dude, you're going to die in a week.
Time, bud.
Yeah.
effectively
to
was
jail.
you could argue it's very similar to the contact tracing situation we had, because you have to effectively break it down. Where did this contamination come from? Where did he go with? Who did he go with? Who did he talk to?
Health detective work, very interesting. It's easier in some ways because at least you can measure radioactivity in a way that you can't necessarily do with a virus.
Yeah.
Not like
Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Nuclear Joe?
we must contact trace and isolate Cotton Eye Joe.
Yes. So, and they also had to ensure that sites where the material were decontaminated. So after this went public, about 130,000 people decided to go to their local hospital, stand in line, and say, please decontaminate me. I'm radioactive. Please decontaminate me. And
sure,
about 250 of them actually were contaminated. Yeah. So, most people were irradiated by the source, but they hadn't actually ingested any of the cesium. Most of them cleared up fine after just a little bit of decontamination, which was basically, take a shower. You filthy animal.
It is funny. Yeah, it is funny to me how much decontamination for pretty much anything, down to like nerve gas, still is somewhat, at least somewhat effective to be like, you just take a shower, change your clothes,
take a shower, use some fucking soap.
when don't spit when the Russians poisoned that defector in England last year, there was like somebody found in very, very similar circumstances, actually kind of scavenging, somebody found the discarded nerve gas container which they had as a perfume spray bottle, and the guy gave it to his wife to try on. And then he was like, this stuff's kind of sticky. And he just washed his hands just to get rid of it. That guy lived and his wife died because she was just like, it's perfume, whatever. So it is insane how much of a difference that makes.
Wash your hands, folks.
Wash your fucking hands. Wash your goddamn fucking filthy hands, you animals.
The public health podcast.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So 46 people were severely contaminated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 20 of those people got radiation sickness. Now, again, the vast majority of them recovered. They were treated with Prussian blue.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
I bet Brazil just had that laying around, didn't they?
Yeah. Look, it's fine. We've isolated all of the people who are exposed, and we put a highly visible red armband on them. We just had.
Yeah, here in the Brasilia Holocaust surplus warehouse. Yeah.
To improve blood circulation to critical areas, doctors have recommended you raise your right arm over your head.
Oh man, this will be the one that gets people using the word Coralia in the comments.
Oh god. So, all right, but yeah, Prussian blue, the dye. It's actually very good at accelerating the rate at which cesium is expelled from the body. Mm-hmm. Decreases the amount of time it spends in there by about half, from I think 70 days to 30 days. So, but there were 4 deaths, all associated with owner of the scrapyard, Devar Ferraria. It's 2 employees.
So this is the thing, right? Like the radiation, you can be like, it's not inherently dangerous, but you have to respect it. It's only going to kill you if you, I don't know, fucked around trying to hit it with a hammer for an hour and a half, put it on a sandwich, just walked around, with it in a wheelbarrow.
This was the worst case scenario.
Cured meats.
Both inside and outside the body. So all it's doing is just dumping radiation into every one of your critical organs.
But I was using those.
That's fine. That's weight savings.
Just get a lightning kit for like your lungs. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that's what Corona does. It adds speed holes. Oh God. Pandemic humor, everyone. So
yeah.
So Devar Ferraria's 2 young employees, who were hitting the thing with the hammer, both died.
Yep. That'll happen.
Ferraria's 6-year-old nephew, who ate the powder, turbo killed. Had the highest dose of all of them, like 6 grays, I believe.
Jesus.
Overall. Yeah. Devar Ferraria's wife also died. The one who figured the whole thing out.
The only competent one in the story, yeah.
Yeah, the competent one who like single-handedly stopped this from being like this just circulating around every junkyard in central Brazil for the next 5 years, while these guys have to like figure out why everybody's just dropping dead.
Yeah.
And her reward for doing this is just like, hey, you just die in like probably one of the worst ways if you had to pick.
Oh yeah, I think she died by far the slowest.
Like I know Chernobyl like really hyped up the horror. Like you don't actually end up looking like the kind of like fucked up baked potato like melted plasticine thing, as I understand it. But it's grim.
Yes,
yeah. And then Devar Ferraria himself received the highest dose of radiation overall. It was 7 grays, but since it was spread out, he was fine. He lived.
God damn it.
Yeah, the universe is a cruel and uncertain place.
Yeah, I'll say. So literally just him sending it to that other junkyard where he killed a couple of guys, by virtue of like having that day off from being highly irradiated was enough that he didn't die.
Yes. Well,
if you take a vacation.
He drank himself to death in 1994, so, you know.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? I mean,
you can't win them all, yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, after this, of course, now we got to do site decontamination, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's all this glowing blue powder everywhere.
Just hose it down. Just hose it down.
I was going to say, just get a big hose. That'll be fine.
Just get the Karcher out and you just like into the nearest gutter. That's fine.
That's a surprising amount of what it was.
That's pretty much how you get rid of radioactive material. You have to move it, bury it.
If it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid.
Yeah. So there were 81 houses that were found to be contaminated by radioactive material. 7 were so contaminated they had to be demolished, and the construction debris treated as radioactive waste, as well as removing several feet of topsoil, also radioactive waste. And then they had to put a pad of concrete over the lot.
Christ on sale.
Roberto dos Santos Alves' house, the first guy, the guy who scrapped it initially, who removed it from the building, and he opened the thing right there in his house. It was so contaminated that workers had to demolish it in very short shifts.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah, the 10-minute shift shit. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
2 houses were mostly contaminated. A lot of the contamination was on the roofs of houses for some reason. So 2 houses had to have.
It's a very light dust, so naturally it'll actually go up. And as you can see in these pictures, these are not like solid roofs. A lot of these are that style roofs. So it's actually going. Okay. So it's actually going between. It's actually going between the bits of between the actual roof into the actual fibrous material.
Oh, good.
That'll do it.
That's where you want it.
So
just. I have to comb this roof with like a big brush.
Oh yeah. Well, 2 houses had to have their roofs removed and replaced, which, as far as I'm concerned,
no, just knock the fucking building down, man.
That's a free roof right there.
Yeah,
that's a consumable.
That's probably the most expensive thing that I'm gonna cry about my house. This get done.
Yeah.
Love to pay $25,000 to replace a thing I can't even fucking see. Yep.
Liam coming out strong for the like just put some corrugated iron over it.
Yeah. What do you care? It's gonna leak anyway.
Get up there with some hot snot asphalt and just patch it up. Yeah, I've put 75 years on my 25-year roof. It's fine.
Yeah, and my roof, it's like, my roof is about 25 years, but the place is about 30 years. So I'm like, goodbye money.
Roofs also have a half-life. They don't tell you this.
Yeah, bad news, Cheddar.
Mm-hmm.
You thought being on a nuclear sub was bad.
Yeah, every roof is in a state of decay constantly,
That is
where you
true.
just like lose shingles, and you have to like, yeah.
So, anyway, a lot of personal possessions had to be removed and decontaminated as practical, right? So, they'd be like, they tried as best they could to save items of great sentimental value, but at some point, the stuffed animal full of cesium has to go in the barrel of toxic waste.
Mr. Bear, no!
All right, so sort of the aftermath. How about some litigation? What happened?
Oh, I bet there's a lot. Yeah.
Oh, well, in the interim, as this was going on, Brazil wrote a new constitution, actually. So, and the courts determined they couldn't really prosecute anyone who caused something under the old constitution.
Oh, this will be one of those
That's convenient.
love to do like some military junta stuff.
Yeah, so litigation went nowhere and achieved nothing. Nothing happened.
Well, that's efficient, right?
Yes.
We must imagine this was happening.
Yeah.
One of the doctors who owned the clinic was successfully sued for 100,000 real for leaving the clinic in a derelict condition.
I mean, yeah, sure.
And then the CNE, the Brazilian Nuclear Agency, was ordered to pay 1.3 million real, I believe, in total to the victims and their families in the year 2000.
Oh, that's speedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's that in Xboxes though?
How much is an Xbox? Xbox is what 300. The real conversion rate.
That's the number we use.
You got it divided by the number of victims is the other thing.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so Xbox Brazil price. Man, I'm not seeing a lot of
4,000 Brazil real.
Thank you. Okay, so and they got what, like 1.5 million or something? You said
1.3
in total. So
In total.
divide that by however many victims. I guess 250 people in total were actually contaminated.
So 1.5 divided by 250 gives us.
It's, as far as I can tell, about $1,000 a person.
6,000.
Oh,
$6,000. 1,000.
you can
6,000.
buy an Xbox. This is good.
Yeah.
This is efficient government.
They
You
got
can
about
buy,
one Xbox each. One Xbox and Xbox game and accessories pricing.
yeah.
That's
So
not
this
bad.
is a good package bundle that CNN have like offered.
Well, that's a good deal for having your house demolished and all your possessions buried in toxic waste barrels.
Hey, plus a few of them not only got an Xbox, a game, and a controller, but also a free roof.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's government efficiency at work.
The free roof was really the good deal here.
yeah, behind door number 1 is a free roof.
Behind the other two doors are death or amputation because of radiation sickness.
Yeah.
So
The other 2 doors just lead into a medical radiation source.
on the plus side, at the very least, the scrappers were not charged with anything.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah, I mean, I'd feel bad if they were
Because
charged for something they didn't realize they were doing.
No,
Mhm.
it's like we're a strongly pro scrapyard guy podcast,
Yes.
and as much as we may be like appearing to derive amusement from these people's suffering, it is just in a kind of horrified way. because I think we're all pretty clear that, like, I don't know any better. I would fucking, I'd pry open some shit if if that was my only way of getting paid.
Exactly. You gotta feed your fucking kids, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just, ideally, you would want not to feed them the forbidden spicy
dust,
sandwich.
Yes.
Forbidden chili powder.
You just got me thinking about the green antifreeze the MTA uses, and I'm just like, because sometimes you see it like accumulate in like a dumpster or something, and just be like, yeah, the forbidden liquid,
forbidden Mountain Dew.
Oh man.
Whatever happened to that Egyptian mummy juice? What's going on with that?
They drank it all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fun toys.
So limited run bottling. Probably collector
Sick of
has
these
it.
fucking like limited edition, this time limited content.
Oh, good.
So what did we learn? Did we learn anything?
We've learned that any radioactive material should be required to have a cradle to grave plan. So pretty much, you should have to have some sort of at least a bond saying, "Hey, in case you go out of business, this bond goes to sending this material back to your radioactive authority, so it doesn't get abandoned." And government authorities should probably literally have a person whose job it is to make sure to trace every material. Like, hey,
once again, we're doing the good policy recommendations at the end of an hour and a half of just calling everybody involved a useless asshole.
Yeah,
let's see if they listen.
No, probably not.
Yeah, but this is pretty much something that should be easily preventable, because a source like this should have been on a list. And even if they were out of business, the government should have just said, "We'll just take the source out. You can fight over your compound. We'll take the source out and keep it in the Brazilian. I think they do it like their state equivalent. Keep it in a state equivalent nuclear archive until you guys figure out who owns it."
Just a lending library for nuclear sources.
A lot of them are pretty much run like that.
Huh. I love when I open up my like medical nuclear source and there's just like a bunch of like date stamps on there.
Well, that's
just like accumulating fines.
That's one of the weird ones, is that they don't know that no one could actually trace where this source had been manufactured. I guess that's probably because people had beaten it up so much with acetylene torches and like grinding wheels and shit that the serial number was unreadable.
Oh sure, but like there's no record if there's no like paper record. That's weird.
They think it was made at Oak Ridge, but they don't know.
It's like it's a reasonable approximation. It's not like nowadays where every time one of those is made nowadays, there's records kept in Washington, D.C. and Switzerland saying, "Hey, we made this today. It was escorted by these guys to here." Or, "Hey, this was made by like China and it was sent to somewhere."
Basically what we're saying is do more paperwork.
Yes.
Nuclear safety, we've said before on the 3 Mile Island episode that nuclear plants work very well by virtue of being boring, and you want them to be as boring as possible. And a big part of that is doing a bunch of forms. You want to have to fill out a bunch of paperwork to do anything.
Do not abandon your nuclear material in an abandoned building. Don't do it.
No,
don't touch the blue powder.
Do not look at the pretty blue light. Don't look at the pretty blue light. And
put one of those like calibration rod warnings on the fucking side of the thing, just in case anybody gets in there that says, "Hey, if you're reading this, drop this and run."
And honestly, a lot of machines should have numbers saying, "If you find this, please call this number or 911. Do not open. This is poison. This is poison."
Call 711 before you scavenge.
Yeah. I think we should just give everyone a Geiger counter.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, I'd like that. That'd be cool.
Everyone's
Make
walking
some
around.
cool noises.
Yeah, everyone's walking around clicking all the time. All right. But anyway, folks, make sure you can track and trace your nuclear material. Next,
you know somebody listening to this, possibly multiple somebodies, will be in charge of actual nuclear material. So this is not like an idle joke.
Yes. Once you buy 700,000 smoke detectors and harvest the radioactive material from it to make your nuclear reactor. Make sure
And
you
then
have
shut down by the
paperwork for
FBI
it.
for no good reason.
I hate that we all know. I hate that we all know exactly who this kid is. It's like still my favorite. Like when first time I read it, I'm like, this is fake. This can't be Reed's NRC. Reed's NRC. It's real. Oh my god, this is horrifying.
Yeah.
It'll have to be another
you two
episode.
can assemble your own nuclear reactor at home. And if you can't make your own, store-bought is fine.
It turns out the nuclear reactor is the easy part. The turbine, now that's difficult.
Mm.
All right. Next episode is the Tacoma Narrows Bridge disaster.
That's right. Next
Yes.
week.
Next week. Fun. And before we go, does anyone have commercials?
Listen to Trash Future, subscribe to the Trash Future Twitch stream, which is twitch.tv/Trash Future Podcast. We're playing Shadowrun on the Thursdays now, if you want to do some tabletop gaming.
Nice.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah.
Franklin 11 is out.
Where is Franklin 12?
Where is Franklin 12?
It's coming soon. I'm making it easier to make than the last one. That's my commercial. Jenna, do you have a commercial?
Besides follow my Instagram at uckema.com, not much really. But thank you for having me on, everyone.
Oh yeah,
our
thanks
pleasure.
for coming on
Thanks for
and
coming on.
making us and being smart about nuclear stuff when we don't know anything because we're morons.
Yeah,
we needed someone who knew what they were talking about, and you've done a great job. Thank you for escorting us idiots through this.
Hey, you're not idiots. You're all pretty smart people.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, no, Liam is.
After quarantine, I'll bring down some local microbrew I found.
Ooh.
thank you.
ooh, fun. Oh
Yeah.
shit, we'll start a podcast beer exchange. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
there we go.
It'll
That'd
give
be
me
fun
an
when you
excuse
do
to
that.
go down to Philly because I haven't been there in since quarantine.
Oh, well, I haven't been to New York City since quarantine started, so
Yeah. Do my best to avoid it, but yes, fine.
Now, Liam, on the other hand,
Listen. I avoid it for ethical reasons. I will not be explaining this further. Good night, everybody.
Yeah,
All right.
bye.
Night, everyone.
bye everyone.